Let me share my screen. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sorry we're a little late. We were trying to get LinkedIn streaming going, but it looks like we're having some technical difficulties with that, but I'll keep trying and get that up and running. But thank you for being here. Welcome. You're at the February virtual Presto Meetup. I'm really excited to have two great sessions today. So as by way of introduction, I'm Allie. I run all the community programs around Presto Open Source Project. We do lots of meetups like these. We do virtual workshops. We go to open source shows. And so it's really great to meet the community and to have folks attend these. As a reminder, like I say, every meetup, please join your local Presto meetup group. We are planning to do some in-person stuff this year, and would be great to get more of the community together in person throughout the year. So if you're near one of those locations, please join it. Second, we have an upcoming virtual workshop. This is going to be February 28th, and it's going to be all about the Lakehouse, specifically how to build an open Lakehouse with Presto and Apache Iceberg. I'll drop the link in the chat as well, but this is how you can register. It's free. It's open to the community. We had one a few weeks ago and it was awesome, and we're going to do it again at the end of this month. So hope to see many of you there. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Bhavini. Bhavini is a machine learning developer who has done some really cool stuff with Presto for unstructured data and machine learning applications. So Bhavini, please, I'm going to pass it over to you. Go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
Do you see presenter mode or do you see the slides?
Now we see presenter mode.
Okay, sorry, just give me a second.
Sure. Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning if you're on the West Coast, and good afternoon if you're on the East Coast like me. My name is Bhavini, and I've been doing a project with Presto, and I'll be talking about using Presto on unstructured data with machine learning applications. Right now, Presto is a work in progress. My project is a work in progress, so I'll just be talking about sort of the how I'm working towards it. So the agenda for today is to discuss the motivation behind the project, some background information for those of you unfamiliar with unstructured data and machine learning, defining the machine learning workflow, and where does Presto fit into that machine learning workflow. And we'll end off with a demo and a discussion. And I really want to make it interactive. So if you guys have any questions along the way, please don't fret to speak up. Okay, the motivation behind this project is every buzzword you've heard this year: big data, machine learning, AI, and it's being able to use these tools in a very effective manner. Big data is being used across all industries. Everyone is collecting data for everything and anything from website logs, application data, your smart fridge, your smartphone, your smart cars. There's a high data volumes coming in, and being able to improve data engineering techniques upstream a machine learning data pipeline will help create better predictive models. So that was the motivation for using data engineering or exploring data engineering tools like Presto and Elasticsearch. Presto is being queried on top of Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch is a NoSQL document-oriented database. The architecture is made up of clusters, and within each cluster are indices, further broken down by shards. And the basic unit of data is essentially a document. Typically, these are JSON files, but Elastic is flexible enough where you can have several other different types of document data that you're ingesting. And just to give a sense of the equivalencies for relational databases, you have clusters being equated to schemas or databases, indices being equated to tables, and your documents are your records, so your rows and columns, the records in the data. And why are we looking at unstructured data and time series data? What is in that type of data that is so useful? What I think is that all the different types of data we are collecting are more likely to be unstructured. So for example, video streaming, data logs, website logs, images, audio clips. A lot of the real-time data is in the unstructured data format, so we can't use traditional databases to query them. And what's interesting is that Presto is able to let you query NoSQL databases from other sources. So being able to have access to different data sources to be used into your model is really advantageous. The other challenges associated with using unstructured data include inconsistent data qualities that you might have to adjust for, the high data volumes, and so some processing techniques include noise reduction, data slicing, and deduplication, where you're removing a lot of redundant pieces of data. And then a bit of background about time series data. Time series data is essentially anything measured over time. And this is very relevant to sensor data and being able to manage that data volumes that are coming in. And there's a lot of noise, a lot of signals in the noise. So some types of analysis include windowing the data and analyzing cycles. In Elasticsearch, each timestamp document is represented as a data point on your time series graph. So I just want to talk a bit more about time series data, where it's the influx of data in real time, and being able to process that, whether it's cloud computing or edge computing, is really powerful, and it creates really interactive models that are more relevant in today's times. So I just wanted to identify the use case. So this presentation is about use case of Presto in building a machine learning model. You've heard of the black box, where you're putting data in and you're getting your predictions or your forecasting. So here, a machine learning model pipeline is defined as the input data plus its algorithm to give you your model predictions. And the quality of the input data really does matter as much as the algorithm that you're using. We can use a lot of out-of-box or proprietary or open source algorithms these days, ChatGPT being one of them, where you can just take the algorithms that are already pre-built. But then what you do with that type of, what you do to build those models is select the types of data and the types of questions that you want to answer. So Presto will be used to focus on the database, on the input features, where the database query engines can help with exploratory data analysis to be able to refine these features that we're putting into our model. And selection of strong input features has high impact on model accuracy, performance, and relevance to perform the tasks that you want it to do. And feature engineering is also a little bit everywhere. It can be the same thing as feature selection, data pre-processing, but it's essentially all part of the data analytics process. And results from Presto queries can be used to aid in feature selection or feature engineering. So this is a typical data pipeline that I'm going to go over. So because I'm using Elasticsearch, my data ingestion is going to be from Beats or the API, web crawler, or Elastic Agent. But once I have my different data sources, I will be transforming the data, doing a lot of exploratory data analysis, and this is where Presto would come in. This is not just the transformations, this includes the cleaning and the organizing of that of the data streams, and to make it to something useful. Once you have your transformed data, you can really do a lot with it. Two of the main applications are dashboarding and machine learning model implementation. The reason I put an arrow between dashboarding and model implementation is after you're deploying your first model, you want to go back and find other ways to improve your model and see if there's something called data drift, or the users or the demographic that you predicted that were to use your model are different, or the behavior is different. So once you've put your model out into the wild, so to speak, you are trying to adjust for and monitor the behavior and the types of data that are now being put into the model, and seeing how that's affecting your predictions and the accuracy levels and the tasks that you're trying to perform with your model. So there's a back and forth, sort of a circle that's happening where you're using data to build your model, but you're also using the feedback from that model to build better iterations. So dashboarding, sorry, Presto queries can be used for dashboarding as well as making improved models. And I'm going to go over the machine learning workflow. So you have your ELT pipeline, and then you go into your exploratory data analysis, which is the queries and the finding essentially the needles in the haystack, the features that you want to use to input into your model. You do your model testing, validation. You keep iterating and making better models until you're ready for deployment. And then once you've deployed it, there's continuous monitoring and feedback. And just to show the areas where we can use database query engines are in all these different sections, coming from the pre-processing steps for data cleaning and transformation, to feature selection, to dashboarding even after your deployment. So just to summarize, the project is to use Presto query results at many points along your data pipeline to essentially improve feature selection and transformation operations on your big data. And this highly affects the nature of your machine learning model, which is why I'm emphasizing the upstream effects of the data pipeline onto model performance. And the metrics that you'll be looking at for the machine learning model include efficiency, performance, and resource management, and being able to balance those metrics are ways that you are trying to go back and forth with your model, your input data, and refining those metrics. Okay, so I think it's time for the demo. So like I mentioned, the project isn't ready, but I do have a demo that looks at using, let me just find it. Essentially, it's a chatbot that once you've refined your time series data and you get sort of a log with all of the data points that you're looking for. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out to share my screen. But once you get a log of the refined data, you can create sort of an interactive chat function. Can you see this? It's supposed to be a collab doc.
Yep.
Thumbs up. Okay, yeah. So this is built on OpenAI, on the OpenAI platform using prompt engineering. Something really quick you can just put together once you have your data. So I ran it earlier just to make sure it worked, so it's a weather bot essentially. I thought about taking just sequences of weather data last 3 days and 3 cities, so Chicago, LA, and San Francisco, and then we can just sort of play with it. Does anyone have any suggestions? I will just pick one. So the bot says, "Hi there, I'm a weather bot. I'm here to give you the latest weather updates. Where do you live?" I put San Francisco. Hopefully it works. "Hi there, San Francisco. I've got the latest weather data for your city. Let me check it out for you. According to the most recent data from San Francisco, the temperature is currently around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind speed is about 10 miles per hour. Is there anything else you'd like to know about the weather?" So whether or not this is accurate depends on whether or not the data sources are accurate. But the point is that data, you can spin something like a machine learning chatbot really easily, but the data really does affect the model performance and output. And now I want to go to the discussion part. And I want to pose some questions. Oops. I think we have time for a couple of them. So what are some unique applications of time series data that you could think of using it for? Does anyone want to answer? Or maybe you're working on that right now? Or you have a personal project that you're thinking about?
For time series?
Yeah.
Prometheus, maybe. Or I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't catch the end of that.
Prometheus?
Okay.
Prometheus. Do you use that, Dennis?
Yeah, but for monitoring.
I see. Cool.
I mean, if I understand your question correctly, sorry.
And then the next, if anyone else wants to chime in, go ahead. Or we'll move on to question 2, trying to make it interactive. What are some unique types of data joining that we can use Presto for? So earlier it was mentioned that you can query all these different types of data sources. So is there any data amalgamations that you might be interested in exploring? Or like 2 databases you never thought
we
you
have
could data from.
we have people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a little laggy, so it's like maybe a minute behind or something. So Ashok says to analyze historical data use time series. So that's a good use case. I think that's probably for question 1.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably get answer to the next question in a minute or 2.
Okay.
LinkedIn. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ashok.
I was thinking, I don't know, there's like a lot of databases you never thought would work together, but looking at the diversity of Presto connectors, you really can just source data from a lot of different locations and come up with really unique solutions that way. Is it still lagging? Like, or we have
It's gonna lag. It's just how it is. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one, then we'll catch up.
And then the last one is, what are some types of metrics that we can look at to assess query performance? This is a bit of a selfish question because I've sort of been thinking about that a lot of how can I assess whether, for example, querying Presto on top of Elasticsearch, how much better that is with just like, I don't know, queries on its own, and just how would you assess that? Like query speed.
I'll start picking on people.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to be like a classroom.
I think this is good because I actually am interested. I don't know, Cynthia from Denodo, if you have any thoughts on how you all kind of look at this, if you're looking at, query performance, helping to troubleshoot customers or people using your platform, if you have any thoughts on the metrics.
Thanks for picking me, Ali. I was actually in a place where I could not talk. That's why I was not asking questions. But I'm into a conference room now.
Sorry.
So, I was thinking about like putting in a chat. But so good demo, Bhavini, and so the query performance. Sometimes what we do is, of course, we rely on some of the metrics. Like for example, we do comparisons sometimes with let's say what we are trying to prove, right? So if you're trying to say, okay, I'm now combining data from multiple sources, like you're saying with Presto, we do a similar thing in Denodo, where we are also combining multiple sources. So when it comes to that, we also always want to see how fast the customers would like to take it, right? Like if they are putting that in a single place versus they're all in different sources, correct? So that could be some metrics to start with. We do use multiple tools like Java has, what is that, JMeter, and similar tools. So we just have to repeat multiple tests, and the metrics would be something like we do have the TP-CDS data sets that you must be aware of. So in those cases, we can take similar data and do some comparisons. And they have certain queries where you can come up with the metrics, right? There could be some aggregations. There could be other operational queries. So you can come up with various different scenarios, and then you can say, hey, for this kind of use cases, my query is performing good when it comes to these data sources. But when I go with the different type of queries, that is maybe analytical versus operational, I'm completely like, I'm not performing good. And in that case, then in your case, maybe you'll try to fine tune the model or maybe fine tune the data sources to achieve the results even faster. Is what I'm thinking very high level.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
that.
sharing
Yep.
that. Yeah. And then if no one has anything else to add, I'm just going to close it off. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I woke you up or enlighten your lunch. So yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Bhavini. Really appreciate it. And for folks who don't know, so Bhavini's kind of recently new to the Presto community. She on her own kind of got engaged and has done a great job in the last, maybe 6-8 months, Bhavini, getting kind of self-starting and learning Presto. So really appreciate, I love seeing the community kind of coming up and presenting these things and digging into new use cases. So it's really awesome. Thanks a ton. And we're looking forward to seeing all that you do. I think there's going to be a lot more. So appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited to do a lot more.
Cool. Okay, with that, hard act to follow, Yihong, but I'm going to pass it over to you to tell us a little bit more about the new Presto Query UI that you worked on.
Yeah, sure. But I just one thing popped up my mind when talking about the metrics and how to analyze the performance. I remember you told me Zach, he wrote the analyzer tool in Python. Is that helpful? But I don't have the link now, so
I will send it. Oh, yeah, I got to dig that out now. Yeah, we got to figure that one out. We do have an analyzer tool, Bhavini, that was built out of HANA. Let's see where that ended up.
Is that something available for use? That
I'll let me figure out what happened to it. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks again. All right.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, let me share my screen. Oh, sorry. Can you see my screen or? Oh, which screen you see?
We can see the right one. Your slide.
The slides. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I think I shared 3 because later on I will switch to browsers and the terminal. So yeah. Let me close the layout. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for me too. I think it's very good. I actually also learned a lot to know how Presto actually fit into the whole ML pipeline. It's a very good session. Thank you. And then, okay, so here we start with another topic. Is the new SQL client on Presto UI. So my name is Yihong. I think I joined the Presto last June. So, and the first component I pick up and I want to start to contribute is actually the Presto UI. So, and that's also the reason why I'm here to present one of the new features that I added into the Presto UI is the new SQL client. So without further ado, let me go to the next one. But before I jump into the new UI, I think I still need to, I have the obligation to actually still to introduce the traditional way that how you can connect to the Presto server. So I think the first one is that we have CLI. It's actually a executable job. So you just need to download it. And if you have the Java runtime, so you download it and you make it executable. And then you can use that executable jar file to connect to the Presto server. And the other way is that we also provide the Docker image. And inside the Docker image, it actually contains the Presto server as well as the Presto CLI. So you can actually leverage that image and to launch the Presto CLI. If you don't have the Java runtime and you don't have time to install it, but you happen to have the Docker runtime, so you can try that. And then here is the command that you just use the latest one. I think, yeah, it has the last one. It also support, it has multi-arc support. So if you're using the MacBook, you support it, the M chips, or it also support the x86. So, and then you just launch, and then you pass the parameters to saying, okay, which server you want to connect to. For example, HTTP column, my server column 8080, yeah, port 8080, yeah, that's it. So there are the two-way, the existing way. So if you know other way, please also share with me. Yeah, that's the two-way I know, I'm aware of, that you can connect to the Presto server. Yeah, and I still recommend to use the CLI because it's a full-fledged CLI, so you can do most everything using the CLI. Yeah, I think same as the Docker image. They all use the same binary. Yeah. So, and then before we jump to it, I still want to kudos to Boomer team. The reason that I'm able to actually implement the new SQL client to the Presto UI is because they actually contribute, thanks to Boomer team, they actually contribute a new JavaScript client that actually can connect to Presto using the REST API. And then here is their npm package name is the add prestodb/presto.js client. So you can use it in your any your JavaScript projects. So you can easily just import it, and like here you can create a Presto client and fill in with the information how you connect to your Presto server. I think recently they also add authentication support. So I think it support the token and also support the basic authentication. And you can just immediately submit your query and get your result. So it's very simple and very powerful. So again, thanks to the Boomer team. I think they have the they also have the presentation in our previous meetup. So yeah, thank to them. So then we jump to our main topic. And I actually want to also thank to Ali and also team. Yeah, the reason is that although I'm aware about, okay, Boomer team, they have the Presto.js client, but actually almost at the same day, Ali come to me and team come to me say, hey, Yihong, since you are working on the Presto UI and Boomer team also have the Presto.js client, can we just integrate them into our Presto UI? Then my answer is sure. So I work on that for a while, and then right now you have the new SQL client on the Presto UI. So those are the UI look like. I will run demo in just a bit. Yeah. So there are some thing behind the scene that how I compose this UI. So one is that in the SQL UI, because I still need to parse the SQL that user type in. So we struggle a little bit how we can parse that, and then finally team suggests that why not we just get compile the SQL syntax tree also from the antler grammar that Presto uses. So actually, we also compile a JavaScript library, and then we can use that library. They actually come from the antler compiler. So, and then we can use that JavaScript library to parse the SQL. And because we try to build the SQL client into the browser, I think the first concern I have is that we actually want to overload the memory in the browser, because if you use a query their data, and their data is actually they have a lot of amount of data that will return to a client, then it will overload the browser. And I think from time to time I still hit some issue that your browser will warning you that the performance is very slow, because maybe you access some website and the JavaScript performance is very bad. So I don't want to become one of these for our cumbersome to our users. So we put some limitation on the query result. I think right now we put the limitation as 100. So when you query a data set, you have the result. We will always put limit 100 at your end, the very end of your SQL, to make sure the return result will less than 100 record set. And recently, since when I add the SQL client, I think the first comment from the community is that they also want to see if we can support session properties in the SQL client. So recently, I also added, yeah. So, and here are some of the limitations is that right now we don't have the caching and we don't have the history. So if you use the Presto SQL earlier, you know when you use the cursor up and down, you can access your previous SQL query. But in the UI, we don't have that, and we don't have a cache. So every time you issue a SQL query, you will still send to the Presto server and get the result back. Yeah, so not able to cache it. Yeah, but I think it will be a good feature to add. And how you use it is right now, the basic version, the SQL client version is actually available, will be available on 286. But I also, because like I mentioned, I also add the session property support. And so if you want to also use the session property support, you need to wait for the 287. And the other way you can actually, but right now, we are only on the 285 release. So, but you still can use the Edge Docker image that we provide. So you can still access it. I think the latest one is the 287-Edge 2. So if you are interested in using that SQL client with the sessions property support, you can actually use this image. So then that's it. So without, let me see, I can bring up the browser. Can you see my browser now?
No.
Oh, then let me just stop sharing. So I just share the browser. That's weird because I try to pick 3 applications. Where's my browser? Oh, here. Can you see my browser?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is a new SQL client. So usually when you open your Presto UI, you will see you're landing on the cluster overview. So right now we have the resource group. That's also another feature I had earlier, and you can see the SQL client here. So you just click on the SQL client, and you can see the client. And we have the warning box here because we want to put here is that because you can run SQL query here. So everyone who can access the Presto UI, they can run the SQL query, which means they can access your data. They can run the update, they can run the delete to your data set. So be careful about that. And you actually can put some limitation or access control to control, okay, what kind of resource or catalog that the SQL client can access. So you can put some safeguard there, yeah, if you want. And then, so here it's very straightforward. This is the SQL area that you can type in. And for the Presto, we all know that if your Presto server support a lot of catalog, you can actually set a default catalog and schema to use. When you write your query, you don't have to have the full catalog, that schema, that table format, and your SQL will be more concise. So in my environment, I set up with the Hive, MongoDB, MySQL. So I still choose the TBC Edge one, and then it can show you how many schema you have. So for example, I just select the from order table like this, and I can run it. And you can see immediately I actually append the limit 100 in your SQL query. So it actually try to put the limit for the result that it will coming back from the Presto server. So it won't actually hurt that much of your browser's memory. So, and then you can have the next to browse all the record, and I think if you want, you can have more record in the same. Yeah. So, and the other feature I also want to cover is that the session property. So it actually lists out all the session property that you currently your server has, and you can actually change. So if you want to change it, for example, for this one, you just say, okay, true. So it will become true. And then if you switch back to the SQL query, I think, let me just show you the session. It will be more straightforward. Oh, sorry, session. As you can see, because I just changed the session value for the first one. So when I say, okay, show me my current session, you will say the first one's value has been changed to true. So the following SQL query that you have, it will actually carry the session setting you have here. So if you want to change some behavior for the SQL query you have, so you can have the session, setting up the session here. So I think, so I have some, I don't have too much SQL query to show here, but I think just give you some, it's like these. Like I mentioned, we also need to parse the SQL syntax, and those SQL syntax, the grammar that we use is actually directly come from the Presto's Antler grammar definitions. So it's exactly the same as the Presto server. But the other discussion we have is that, do we want to actually skip the syntax checking and direct send the SQL to the Presto server? Because Presto server can do the syntax checking for us, right? But I think it's still good to actually avoid this kind of network traffic and not to overload the Presto server. I think it won't overload Presto server because the kind of syntax checking and parsing will happen on coordinator, and coordinator will return error to your request immediately. But in here, my implementation is still, we still check the SQL syntax and then send to the server before we really click the run. And as you can see, I actually choose a large SF100 schema, so it actually will run a little bit longer. So actually, if you go to the cluster view, you actually can see the SQL query here. That's the one we submit from the SQL client. So you actually can, oh, it's too large. Let me try to reduce it to maybe SF1, it will run quicker. Then let me run it again. So I just want to show you had actually full control about your SQL query and how you can navigate where your query is. And you have the result, and of course you can also click here, and there will be the query detail. It's actually the same from, if you go from the here, so the finished one, you can also see your query here. You can get to the same page, is the SQL detail page, so you can see all your SQL detail from here. So I think that's it for all I want to share. Of course, you can close it, but every time you, like I say, we don't have caching, so every time when you jump from the cluster to SQL client, that one will show up. But if you stick on this page, yeah, you will be gone, and no matter what SQL you submit, you will be there. But the session property will also be gone, so you need to reset yourself. But if you open this page, stay open and run all your query here, I think you will have those value you modified. Yeah. Yep, that's it. So feel free to use it, and if you have, I believe because we try to limit it. You see when I run the query, let me show you again. Then you will append the limit here. Sorry, I haven't select the schema. So, and I do believe when I append this limit 100, I think that the ultimate goal, we only want to put the limit 100 for the select, right? So, and I guess the primary usage we want to promote for the user to use the SQL client is select, because most of the time you just want to have a quick peek about how your data structure look like, how your current data look like. So, and you don't have time to install the Presto CLI executable jar, then you can actually go to the Presto UI and run the query very quickly. So I think the select is our main primary usage. So you can actually see your data structure here. So that's why we put here. But again, I believe maybe in some case we will also put the limit 100, but I don't think that will impact your SQL query. For example, if you have the insert into and select, so at that syntax, I guess we will also put 100. So which means you can only insert 100 record into the table you want to if you are using a SQL client. Yeah. So I think, but yeah, if you feel that you want to insert the full table, and the one way you can use the executable jar, or maybe if a lot of people are saying, it's okay, can we actually not put that restriction on the UI? Then yeah, you can have a issue, or yeah, and I can work on it. Yeah. And if you have any feature that you want to see on the SQL query client, feel free to open the issue and tag me, and then yeah, I'm happy to work on that.
Cool.
That's it.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Yihan. That was awesome. Like
Yeah.
really cool to see it in action. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for all the work you put into it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to go off mute or pop them in the chat on either LinkedIn or here. So while we wait to see if there are any questions, thanks again for everybody that joined both on LinkedIn Live and on Zoom. Appreciate it. We're still figuring out how to do all these systems, so apologies for anybody that was waiting a little bit on LinkedIn, but thanks for sticking by. Like I mentioned, we do these every month, so keep an eye out for our next virtual meetup, which will be scheduled sometime in March. Also, like I mentioned earlier, in 2 weeks, we're hosting our hands-on virtual workshop on building an open data lakehouse. Open to anybody to register, so please join us if you want to learn more and get a little bit more hands-on with Presto and Iceberg. Finally, we did record this, so all of our recordings go up on the Presto Foundation YouTube channel if you ever want to check things out or look at any of the other meetups or PrestoCon sessions that we've done. Everything's up on that channel. Okie doke. So with that, I will say thank you to our presenters. Really good stuff. Love to see all of the new features and the new stuff people are working on with Presto. It's really cool. So thank you both. Looks like Dennis does have a question for you, Yihong.
Yeah. Right now we haven't have any toggle or setting on the Presto UI. The reason is that currently the way we build the UI is that it's actually a static page. So, and the Java server actually serve the UI, but that's a good request. If you want to actually disable UI, yeah, I can figure out a way to do that. But at this moment, like I say, you can set up the security access restriction saying that, no, I don't want the Presto, the SQL client to access any of our catalog. So you can actually do that on your setting. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Finally, if you're not in our Presto Slack channel, please join us. We're all there. We're hanging out. We're there to answer questions. So join us there, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.